Hello, it's Fesxp, and in this video, I'm going to be discussing some features I would like to see implemented into Dead by Daylight. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. It helps the channel out a lot. Now, with the shameless plug out of the way, let's talk about some features. A lot of people have wanted improvements to solo queue for a very long time, and as a person who almost always solo queues, I have some ideas for how they can improve it. One of the major downsides to solo queuing is that you have no idea what your teammates are doing, unless you see them through R rating with perks. But with this concept that is on screen now, you can tell what action your teammates are currently doing. It shows that me and Jake are working on a generator, Steve is currently being chased, and Nia is cleansing a totem. Here's another one I made. I'm working on a generator, Meg and Nia are healing, and Claudette is searching a chest. There would also be an icon for each of the following actions: repairing, cleansing a hex totem, blessing, unlocking a chest, unlocking the basement chest, healing, sabotaging, and opening the exit gate. Another small feature a lot of people want is being able to tell if the people you just went up against were Swift. I came up with a quick concept to show how I think it would work in game. In the post-game lobby, everyone who was in a Swift will have an icon next to them. If there were two different Swifts, then the icon for one of the Swifts would be a different color. A simple feature, but one I personally think everyone would enjoy. With the new Mori system coming sometime around Halloween, I think it's about time some of the older killers get a new Mori. Killers such as Trapper, Wraith, Freddy, and Pig have probably the worst Moris in the game, as they only stab at their survivor, and in the most boring way possible too. Maybe Trapper could push your head into his trap, maybe have Wraith crush your head between his bell and weapon, and maybe Freddy could drag you into a pool of blood and then blood sprays out, like the scene from A Nightmare on Elm Street. But how do you think BHVR could change these lackluster Moris? Comment and let me know. With Legion being buffed and a lot more people playing them, I think it would be an amazing idea for Joey and Susie to have their own voices. It's been almost 4 years since Legion's release, and there have only been 2 voices for 4 characters. If BHVR were to add new Legion voices for the 2 other members, more people would buy Joey and Susie cosmetics. But what do you guys think? Should they keep 2 voices, or should they add additional ones for Joey and Susie? There are a lot of changes in the coming months for Dead by Daylight Year 7, but a change that hasn't been discussed is buffs for some of the weaker killers that are in the game. Sadako is undeniably weak. Sure, her teleport is good, but everything else is extremely weak. First off, the TVs take an absurd amount of time to turn back on after being turned off. 100 seconds when you project, and 60 when a survivor manually turns it off. Secondly, condemnation is not very oppressing, and isn't really a threat. This is how I would buff Sadako. The base time a TV needs to be turned back on after being turned off by any means should be 40 seconds. This will allow you to actually use your teleport way more often, but still not be able to constantly spam it. Another change I came up with is that hitting a survivor after manifesting should give that survivor condemnation. It'll allow condemnation to be more oppressive and an actual threat to survivors. Another good change for Sadako would be that while demanifested, you cannot be stunned by pallets. This is a change Otstarva talked about in one of his streams, and I think it would encourage Sadako to be demanifested more during the trial. The second killer I wanted to talk about is the twins. What makes them weak is that Victor cannot interact with anything in the trial except for survivors and lockers, and without Victor, Charlotte is just an M1 killer. Changes that would make twins better would be allowing Victor to snuff out boons. I don't know why this hasn't been added, seeing as how boons, such as Circle of Healing and Exponential, are incredibly strong against twins. Another feature that would make twins better is having Charlotte have an enraged mode when Victor is crushed. A lot of people have requested this feature, and I am one of them. Some things Charlotte could do while in this mode is having an increased FOV and maybe a decreased pallet stun. Just some things that would make Charlotte better while Victor is regrowing. However, they would need to increase Victor's growing time so that Charlotte can actually use these buffs. A lot of people want new items to be added to the game, because it would give survivors more options other than just a flashlight, medkit, and toolbox. But people are forgetting that there are other items in the game that are extremely weak, those being the keys and maps. Keys have had a rough history. They went from being one of the most toxic and overpowered items in the game to not being used almost ever, not to mention that the broken key is one of the worst items in the entire game. How I would fix keys would be by making the skeleton key the only key in the game. After BHVR reworked keys, I've never seen a dull key used ever. And in all my time playing Dead by Daylight, I've almost never seen a broken key used either. So I would just remove them and give people compensation blood points. Next up is the maps. The only good map is the rainbow map, and that item is still terrible. You need to use range add-ons to actually get use out of it, and the rare map is useless. How I would fix maps would be by making the rare map track generators and chest. I would also increase the range to 12 meters on both maps. I would also make hex totems have a different colored aura. This would incentivize using a map more often and not flashlights or medkits. And that ends today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and like my suggested features. If you like my content, check out my other videos. Thank you for watching.